All right, let's talk about directing and producing, or producing and directing. When you think of producing, think about money. Producers are responsible for raising the money that's required to make the production happen. Um, in professional theater, and when we talk about, it's easiest to say when we're talking about professional theater, we're talking about Broadway. Broadway producers are investors. They invest in the production. They have money to put forth to make the show happen. When the show happens, and provided the show is successful and does well, the producer will make a or get a return on their investment. Um, so it's a money making thing for that producer. In nonprofit, this is a for-profit situation. Broadway theater is for profit. Everybody involved in the Broadway production is under contract. Everyone is getting paid. In a nonprofit situation, producers are actually members of the board of trustees. They are nonprofit organizations operate with a mission statement. Um, our mission at this community theater is to provide exemplary theater productions and theater education for children and young people in Sumter and the surrounding counties. That's a mission statement. The board of trustees is there to make sure that that mission statement is upheld and honored, so the money that comes into a nonprofit theater through ticket sales or contributions goes back into the functioning of that organization. Nobody is making a return on an investment. That's the kind of quick explanation of how it works. Producers raise money. Think about Broadway shows right now. If I were to ask you what is the highest grossing Broadway show to date, um, anybody want to take a guess? Because I was very interested to find this out a couple of weeks ago. It's The Lion King. The Lion King is the highest grossing Broadway show. Yeah, and up there are things like Mamma Mia and Hamilton and Les Mis and uh, the Book of Mormon, and just, these are high grossing Phantom of the Opera, for goodness sake, how could I forget that? Cats. These are high grossing Broadway shows. Producers who invested money in those productions are doing quite well. Um, when we talk about directing and the role of the director, if the producer's responsibility is raising money, the director is responsible for the artistic aspect of the production. Everything artistic is the responsibility of the director. Um, Now, the role of the director is going to evolve. As theater evolves, we're going to see the role of the director grow and change and become more specific. But ultimately, the director is the artistic head of the production. The most important thing that a director can do is to be completely familiar with the play, exhaustive reading, know the play back and forth. It's security. It's the best place to work from. You are creating from a sense of solid understanding about this play. When directors approach a play, in other words, taking on the responsibility of telling the story, they can approach it in three ways. They can direct the play as the playwright intended it, as it's written, as it is on the stage, following every stage, excuse me, stage directions in the script. The second way is to translate it, to interpret it. Um, Deciding, say, for example, to set Romeo and Juliet not in Verona, Italy, but in New Orleans, Louisiana, and not in the 16th century, but let's say in the mid 1940s or something like that. That's an interpretation of that story. That's a translation. I'm going to tell the story this way. Um, Directors have that option. That is the most common way in contemporary theater. Directors interpret, they translate, they tell the story in a way that they feel is going to be the most effective. The final way, the third way, is to rewrite the play. Your text refers to this as the auteur approach. You are going to take the essence of the story as director and change it, change the way the story is told. You can maintain the theme of the play, even the characters can be the same, but you're retelling the story, setting it in a different framework with in a completely different context. So, those three ways: direct it as it's written, translate it, interpret it, set it in your own interpretation of the play, or to rewrite it, take on the role of the author or playwright, auteur, and approach it in that way. Now, directors, of course, are responsible for casting the play, rehearsing the actors, and getting it up to production. Directors have to be able to communicate with everyone involved in the production: actors, designers, builders, technical people. As long as they are able to share their vision clearly with everybody involved, they're going to have a great production. Um, there is a person who assists the director, and that is the stage manager. That is the director's right hand. They will be present from the beginning to the very end, from casting the show to closing night. The stage manager is there. Their responsibility is to keep a very detailed record of every note that the director gives to the actors, the designers, etc. Blocking, moving actors around the stage. On this line, you move from point A to point B. The stage manager will write that down in their script. When the director gets to the point of production and the play opens, their job is over. And in most cases, they will leave. They will go on to do another show. Um, they leave the stage manager there in their place. When a director leaves a production, the stage manager takes over because they know the show. They know everything that the director intended. In casting a play, a director ideally is going to look for the best actor to take on the role. Sometimes casting has to be very to the point. It has to, you are casting actors who actually physically represent these characters. You are casting according to type. So this has to do with ethnicity, sometimes gender as well. However, if we consider that the director has the ability to interpret a play, then the director can cast the play in any way they choose. Um, Casting an actor in a role for which they probably wouldn't have been considered in the past is called non-traditional casting. Non-traditional. If, for example, I am directing Cinderella and I am casting on this particular round of auditions, I'm looking for Cinderella, someone to take on that role. And I see actress after actress after actress. And in our minds, we know that our image of Cinderella is white, blonde, not white blonde, white person, blonde hair, blue eyes, very sweet girl. Um, and I'm seeing a lot of these girls come in. Then all of a sudden, an Asian actress walks in, sings, dances, acts, beautiful girl. And I think, wow, I want her. That's non-traditional casting. I'm not going to cast the show with all Asian actors. Cinderella's going to be Asian. I might do it again. Who knows? I might cast the evil stepmother as an African American woman with an African American actor. And the prince might be Latino. That's non-traditional casting. You're using the best actors for the production. So actors, or excuse me, directors really are responsible for telling the story effectively. And they have to consider all kinds of things. Um, the climate, not the weather, but the political climate that's existing now. Maybe that's going to influence the way I cast a play. It's better to perhaps tell the play in a way that's more relatable to people at this point in time. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the first section. Thank you for bearing with me with my technical difficulties this week. It'll be better next week, I promise. I will post the first quiz in just a bit. And once again, that's due by the end of the week, which is Sunday at midnight. I'm sorry, I didn't get it to you on Wednesday, but we'll work it out. Email me with any questions and have a great weekend.